Hi, Simon here from Laney. We're here at the NAMM show 2007. I'd just like to talk to you through some of our new gear that we've got demonstrating here at the NAMM show. Behind me you'll see the new Nexus range, which is basically it consists of two models really. The Nexus Tube, which is a 400 watt all tube bass monster amplifier. Runs 8 KT88s in the output section with an assignable FET or tube preamp section. It's really, you know, it's high-end gear. It sounds stunning. It's based really straight in rock, you know, fingerstyle bass players. The unit next to it is the Nexus FET amplifier. That's basically exactly the same preamp, but going into a 650 watt MOSFET output stage. Tube's great for bass if you're playing fingerstyle, but if you start to slap and pop, then sometimes the slew rates that you can find on the tubes aren't you know, best suited for that style of high notes followed by low notes. So I think, you know, if you're a slapper and a fingerstyle player, then maybe you want a bit more clarity. Then the FET amplifier is just absolutely up your street. In combination with the Nexus heads, we have a range of Nexus cabinets. The Nexus Tube is sat on top of a 810 cabinet, which is a 1600 watt cabinet, which can be split into two 410 cabinet configurations, giving you 800 watts per speaker. We also run a standalone 410 speaker and a standalone 115. I think one of the things with bass guitar is that bass unfortunately equals weight, and what we try and do is try and reduce the amount of weight that bass players have to carry around by using the new generation of Celestion neodymium speakers. They basically have fantastic magnet qualities in them, and you can reduce the output of reduce the weight of the magnet side of things, which without reducing the output, so significantly reducing the amount of weight that you have to move around. From a control point of view, you obviously have the actual input to the amplifier, which you can pad down to take account of active and passive basses. You then have a selectable FET channel input or a selectable tube channel input. You can run them both together, or you can actually just isolate one or either. With non-selected, the amp automatically mutes itself. Then all you do is select your input path and dial in the amount of gain that you want from the signal point of view. Similarly with a tube, there is a tube gain and a tube level, which means if you set it with a very high tube gain, you can actually get true distortion. Both models feature the same preamp, and even though this is a FET output section, it still has two tubes in the input section. So the tube gain and the tube level can give you, you know, pure tube distortion to give you like really wild fuzz bass. You then have a standard active bass and treble. You then have an assignable low, mid, high mid, both of which are parametric. Dial in the frequency that you want to cut or boost, and then just decide how much you want to cut or boost it by. There is an onboard compressor. There is an onboard 6-band graphic, all of which can be foot switched in and out. Anything that can be switched on the front panel can be switched via the foot switch. There is a sub-control, which is a pre-shaped low-end EQ. There is a presence control, which affects the higher end frequencies of the bass unit, and then there is a deep control, which is a similar effect to presence but on the low end side of things.